or they share your photo and they say, look at my friend, they're so talented. Use that, message them. You can say, thank you for liking my recent post. My name is Caron Shahrestani. I am the founder of Caron Modern Media based out of San Mateo, and I'm also the social media manager and video girl for Marin Open Studios. Today's Zoom workshop is about Facebook Messenger DMs, capital D, capital M, or direct messages, and how you can use that functionality of social media to turn your friends and connections online into art clients and custom commission clients and people who want to pay you for what you do. The main difference between using Facebook Messenger or direct messages on social media and just doing email is that there has now, over the many years that email has been in existence, there's now a certain generational rejection of traditional email. Some younger people don't use it because of Messenger and other forms of communicating on social media. Some older people don't use it because they just do not enjoy opening up the program and having potentially hundreds of emails that you would have to go through. So I feel like it's a combination of people having other options of ways that they can talk to each other on the younger side. And then as far as senior citizens, it can just be very overwhelming to open your email and have a bunch of stuff to go through. And so when people embrace these other forms of communication, you really have to take them seriously as a way to generate sales and potentially build your client base for your artwork. And part of that is that, as we've discussed with all of our Instagram trainings we've done through this workshop series, these are predominantly very visual platforms. So if you're in the visual arts, you should be on these platforms. And if you are someone who's looking to find more customers, people who want to give you their money for your art, then you sometimes have to make it a private conversation. And we all know those awkward conversations we've had with people, with complete strangers. It can be a cold call. It could be that guy trying to get you to sign a petition on the corner. It could be anybody kind of asking you for your, it could be a Jehovah's Witness. It could be anybody asking you just for your time or just to listen to them. And it ends up at times being a little intimidating for artists to put more energy into their sales conversations, because you think to yourself, I'm just into the art, I'm just into creating the thing, beautifying people's spaces, bringing more color and telling stories. And you get really into that creative space and you think, I don't really need to put too much energy and time to actually selling the thing. But when you do take people's engagement with your art and your social media content, and you use that as a foot in the door to start a conversation with that person about helping you build your client base in any way, then that does elevate your presence on these platforms, because it allows you to have a better idea of whether or not it's worth your time to be investing in these platforms. Why are you on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube and the Marin Open Studios website and all these places? It's to sell more art. And if you're not trying to sell more art, then you would potentially allow yourself to just be afraid of the numbers. Like, I don't want to see the analytics. You're not concerned with whether or not most of your followers on social media are men or women. You're not concerned about whether most of them are in California or not, but you should be if you are looking to grow your income as an artist. And I know that I come from a background in sales as well as many other things. And so I've felt that resistance on people's parts when I've trained them on how to do sales, that they feel like it's just the complete opposite of their natural way of engaging with people. They're just like, I do not identify with people asking other people for money. I just don't. Like, I refuse. But we all know that the majority of famous artists, painters, sculptors, most of them were dirt poor while they were alive, and they were only appreciated in the many years and decades and centuries after. And so as a living, breathing artist who is creating art as a profession, you have to be a little more bold than that. You have to think back on your predecessors in this craft and think, what am I worth and what is my value? And once you are clear with that, it becomes a little easier to ask people if they support you in this way. And so for our training today, we're covering the Facebook Messenger app for your phone, but of course you can use Messenger on a desktop, which we'll look at as well. Personal and business, because it can be a little tricky to balance, for instance, a personal Facebook account, which has its access to Facebook Messenger, and a professional business page on Facebook that also has an inbox for Messenger. They are technically separate. Just recently, Facebook did an update where I believe they are now merging the two capabilities within the Facebook Messenger app. What we're looking at today is screenshots of the difference between the two, because as we've discussed in our Facebook trainings, you don't have to have a business page if you're not planning on advertising or looking at your analytics for your following. You could just have your own personal Facebook profile, like a regular human being, like a consumer, and using the Messenger app, Facebook Messenger, to communicate with people on a human-to-human level, and not necessarily have the business page be the way that you communicate with them. I do both. I communicate with people on my Caron Modern Media Facebook business page Messenger inbox and on my personal one, Caronito Bonita. We'll also talk about notifications because, per my explanation in the beginning, doesn't really matter on age. If you don't have your notifications on lockdown for social media, it can be just as overwhelming as a full email inbox. You have so many things to look through that it becomes disheartening to even open up the app. And so we'll talk about that. Sales script samples, this is basic stuff. I mean, you guys, a lot of you guys have your own experience of customer service and relationships building. And I'm not trying to tell anybody like how to, that this is like, write it exactly as I have it here today, and this is going to make you $50,000 more a year in art. Not necessarily, but just examples and samples that I've used that have worked and that you should try as an experimentation as to how well you can flip your friends into customers. And then auto responses. So one of the benefits of using these platforms that are run by robots is they recognize that the human experience depends on responsiveness. Some people might take a very long time before they send you a private message asking you about your art, but when they do, they want to be served. They want a response now, especially if it's a gift, especially if it's something on a deadline. So you want your auto responses to be engaged, turn on, filled out for certain social media platforms like Facebook, so that if someone messages you, you automatically, the robots, send a message back to that person and say, thank you so much for your message, or thank you so much for sending this message. Please look at my website. Please call me. Please, here's my email. And you give them other ways of contacting you, basically channeling them to a different way of reaching you. And that just makes the other person feel better than like if they message you at 11:30 at night and you're asleep and you don't see the message in your messenger inbox until 8 in the morning the next day. The heat is gone for them a little bit, maybe. They're just like, oh yeah, I'll write that thing I sent you. No, I'm not interested anymore. But if immediately there's a response that's like, oh, thanks so much here's my email, here's my website, they might continue to explore. They might go to your website and check you out. They might write you an email that tells you exactly the art that they need. Or depending on how you phrase it, they might call or text you. And I find calls and texts to be even more beneficial to, telling people what to do when they see your art. Like, you can go to my website, sure. You can email me, sure. But if you call or text me and ask me about my art, like, I'll get back to you pretty quickly. I'll text you right back, even if I'm in a meeting. But auto responses are very helpful. the Facebook Messenger app. So we have 4 apps here. I have all of them on my phone. Seems a little crazy for one company, and we're not even talking about Instagram, which is also owned by Facebook, but it's kind of crazy that one company has 4 separate downloadable apps that you can have on your phone or your iPad. And the first one is the basic Facebook with the F. The second one is Messenger with a little bubble and a lightning bolt through it. The next one is Pages Manager. Again, this is a business page managing tool, so much faster and much quicker loading than if you try to access your business page through the basic Facebook app. And then the last one, which some people don't necessarily know about, is Facebook ads. So even if you're not someone who advertises all the time, you only periodically toss $5 here, $10 there, Facebook ads as an app gets even quicker to those analytics and statistics about where your $5 or $10 went. And so this little quartet is what I use to manage my business, to promote my art, and to communicate with people. So it's this second one that you definitely want to get. I assume you all have Facebook on your phone. If you don't, it's helpful because even before you get Messenger, Facebook, as we'll see with a couple screenshots, does have the ability to access your inbox and your messaging. I just find that having the separate app, again, faster loading, quicker response. Personal and business. In our previous trainings, we've talked a lot about the different functionalities of having a personal account and a business account. So this first screenshot here on the left side of these two is what my Facebook Messenger app looks like on my phone. These little circles at the top are technically stories, the 15-second disappearing pieces of content that some of you might have noticed on your smartphones. So that's kind of separate. It's a different functionality of Messenger, but it's everything below this. The little circle face of the person you're talking to, the name of the person or people, if you have multiple people in a group, because you can do a group chat and have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, 65, 174 people all in one conversation. It can get very annoying to be in one of those 175 people conversations if you don't have your notifications in check, because then you're like bing, 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 all these people responding. So keep in mind that you can do group chats. You can also leave group chats or bow out and remove yourself from a group chat, and then you don't get the notifications anymore. When you see these have timestamps next to them, it might say 3:29 p.m. So this was today. It might say Monday, Sunday, Saturday, and then before 7 days previous, July 25th, and on and on. And you see there's a button here that says Start Chat. So again, this is Android. It's going to look a little different on an iPhone, but it's an obvious plus sign that shows up anywhere on Messenger for you to start a new conversation with someone, maybe that you've never talked to before or that you have, and it'll bring up that person's existing conversation with you or start a new one from scratch. So this is the personal Facebook Messenger inbox, kind of what it looks like. And you would just tap that with your finger, open it up, and type. Oh, and then at the top you can see you can also search. So you're like, oh, where is that conversation with Susie? And you can type in Susie and it'll pull it up. On the right, and we've seen screenshots like this before, this is what the back end of my business page on Facebook looks like. This is through the Pages Manager app. So if we look back at the apps here for a second, the Pages Manager app is the one with the little flag on it, the orange flag. And so with the orange flag app, it takes you just to your business page, doesn't even look at your personal page. Like that is not even showing on this. You're just all business, if you will. And at the bottom, you can see there's a menu. The one with the little blue flag means you're home, you're on your page. The one which looks like it's kind of like a chart is your analytics. You know, how many people that follow you are men and how many people liked your last post. This one right here, which is kind of old school, it looks like the inbox, like the actual box that you'd have on a desk that says in and another one that says out. And so this is your inbox that says 20 plus. So it means I have 20 plus messages in my inbox. And then this one, which also says 20 plus, is notifications with a little bell, which we've covered in previous training. So anytime you see that little bell, it's usually like a new message has come through or someone has responded to a message that you sent. And to the farthest part, it kind of looks like a little briefcase. I know it's gray. That is for your settings and behind the scenes, like your notification settings, which we'll get to in a moment. Get to right now. So from this page, when you hit that little briefcase in the bottom right corner of your business page, you'll see settings, and push notifications is at the very top. This is the same with the Facebook app. It's the same with the Instagram app. Same with all of the apps that we've looked at today. You go to your settings, somewhere in the top 5 of your settings menu is going to be notifications for the app. Notifications can include actual texts almost that appear on your phone. It can be emails sent to your inbox. And so you really want to make sure that you are clear as to where you want to get your message updates, your messenger updates. On the right side, so if we hit push notifications and settings, on the right side, you can see these are on, messages are on for, a new message coming in, for comments, for mentions, for reviews. So this isn't just messages, but also comments on my posts on my business page, people who mention my business page, someone who writes a new review on my business page. So these are all on, as you can see, and what you would do is toggle them off if you didn't want to receive that in any other form than when you just log in. Here in the red at the bottom, you might not be able to read it, so I'll read it to you. Your device notification settings for this app are turned off. Turn it back on to be able to stay up to date on your page. So essentially, not just on the app can you change your notifications, but on your phone, you can go to settings and you can go to apps and you can pull up the Facebook app or you can pull up the Facebook Messenger app and you can change the notifications on the phone side of it. And then basically the app has to behave however the phone tells it to. So I highly recommend you decide how you want to receive your notifications and make sure that you are checking your inbox periodically if you are not receiving push notifications to your phone or to your email inbox, because you don't want to miss a potential message. Sales script samples. So I went on Google and I pulled up the basic cut and dry corporate. Hi, prospect name. I'm with Recruiters International. Hiring managers often tell us it takes too long to place a new hire. Are you available for 15 to 20-minute meeting to discuss your goals? You can book a time in my calendar, right? So this is the traditional, old school, almost cold call email that someone can send you, which if you think about it, someone could cut and paste that right into Facebook Messenger, right into direct messages on LinkedIn. In a way, some people don't get very creative and just put that out there to complete strangers. And it can be, in my experience, a little bit annoying to get an email like this. On the artist side of it, you're not going to be in any way that is as formal. And you're also not going to necessarily be like tossing statistics of it. Did you know that 75% of homeowners love original art? Like, kind of silly. What you can do is base your conversations, your sales scripts, on actions that people have taken on your social media. So think about the last time that someone supported you in any way on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Maybe they liked your page, maybe they liked your post, maybe they commented on a video that you posted, they shared a photo. So use that. Your first message to somebody could be, hi, Jason. Thank you for, and then fill in the blank, right? Mad Libs. Thank you for liking my post about my art. Thank you for sharing my photo of my art or of my installation. Thank you for commenting on my video, my new Marin Open Studios video that I just posted on Facebook. And set that tone for, this is why I'm reaching out to you. You have given me some sort of support or given a digital show of engagement that supports my art. And I'm taking it to the next level if you want to go there with me. And then the next sentence would be something like, this is more of a passive script, but you'd say, I appreciate your support and hope I can paint something for you one day. Have a great weekend. So if you think about it between these two, the second one is a little more informal, hi, not hello, and but it allows you to keep it simple and create that moment, plant that seed for that person mentally in the back of their mind that they're like, yes, one day I want to hire Melissa to sculpt some peaches for me, or to, one day I want to have her sculpt a tarot card wall installation for me, but not yet, but not now. And by you saying, I appreciate your support, hope I can paint something for you one day, you're not saying anything about price. You're not saying anything about like, I do acrylic or I do oil on canvas. You're not giving them any details that they would be able to use to refer you to anybody else, but you're reaching out. And I consider this a very softball way of doing it, but it's way better than nothing. It's way better to send something like this to someone who just liked your art post than to be like, oh, that's nice that she liked it. Because guess what? There were 10, 20, maybe 100 people who saw your art post and did not like it. Like, as in, didn't press the like button. And I've had people come up to me pre-COVID, like at barbecues, and be like, I loved that post you did of your art. I loved that. And you look them in the eye and you're like, then why didn't you actually like the post on Facebook? Like, why didn't you press the like button? So for a lot of people, when it comes to consuming artwork and visual arts, they don't necessarily show their support, but that doesn't mean that they don't like it. And so when someone likes it, someone presses a little heart button, or they comment and say, this is beautiful, you're so talented, or they share your photo and they say, look at my friend, they're so talented, use that. Message them that day, that night, the next day, the following week, and say, thank you for liking my recent post, right? If you let a few days go by. If we get a little more into the sales side of it. Hi, Jason. Thank you for, same thing, liking my post, commenting on my video, sharing my photo. If you know anyone who would appreciate my artwork, please spread the word. Have a great weekend. I recognize that they could have shared your photo already, and them sharing your artwork to all of their followers is a really helpful and supportive thing for someone to do digitally. But when you plant that seed of, it's not about them paying you for art or buying your art, but who can they think of that loves art, that appreciates art, and have that kind of thing go in the back burner for them and start twirling around where they're like, oh yeah, well, Gail does those really nice beach paintings, and my friend has that house in Connecticut and they love art. It's something where you start getting them to think of you in a certain way that takes the pressure off of them to be your next customer. And it lets them think of all the other people they know that have money that love art. The next one, let's get to it. Hi, Jason. Thanks for liking my post. If you're interested in my custom artwork, I charge $300 for an 8 by 10 inch canvas. This is true. I currently charge $300 for an 8 by 10 inch canvas, acrylic on canvas, unframed, unwired, like basic, but that's what I charge. And so I've had times where I send somebody a message pretty much exactly like this one, because then what happens? One, if they ever wanted to buy your art personally at any point in their lives, they immediately price themselves in or price themselves out based on how much money you just said. And you just have to live with that. If you want to say, oh, but you're my friend from like the sorority days, so I'll give you 50% off, or you're my favorite neighbor from the old neighborhood, so I'll give you a discount. Like, but try not to undervalue yourself and just put your real price out there, because they'll decide for themselves if you're worth it. The other thing this does, kind of taking off of the second script, the one on the left, is people will then know how to refer you to other people. They'll say, oh my gosh, you have to check out Shiva's art. She's this Persian artist and she does a lot of really cool stuff, which is like not just painting, but she collages, and she only charges $300 for an 8 by 10. Imagine if that person now has your pricing in their mind to bring up in a conversation with other people, with other art lovers. And by stamping that price to that person, it really allows the other person to feel like whether or not you've paid that, whether or not you've purchased that, that you know enough about this person's work to toss a number at them. And that makes you look good as far as the connectivity of it all. Auto responses. So this was July 13th. Where are we at now? The 29th, not that long ago. So this was July 13th. I had worked with this guy, Jordan, through a video shoot last year, the year before. He was a video model for the shoot. And at one point between scenes, while we're setting up the next shot, he and I start shooting the breeze. And I'm just like, blah, 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 art, blah, blah, blah. I paint dogs, something like that. So on the 13th, he messages me through my Caron Modern Media Facebook Messenger. So this wasn't my personal account. And you can see here it says, you and Jordan aren't connected on Facebook. So even though he and I conversed at a working event, we never like became Facebook friends. We weren't that close. And so we never connected since then, but he kept my art in the back of his mind for over a year and then sent me this message and said, hi, do you still do pet paintings? If so, I'd like to commission one for a friend. Thanks a lot. I enjoy your content. So it's funny for you to see like, I enjoy your content because you're just like, well, we're not friends. But maybe he's like, since the video we made together, or maybe he's looked at my art on Caron Modern Media and not actually liked it or commented on it. This is what I'm talking about. He's been enjoying my art and I had no idea because he wasn't actually engaging with anything. But he just skipped the whole like, comment, share thing, skipped the whole let's become friends with this Caronito Bonito person and just went straight to my inbox. So this was at 9:15 p.m. Where was I? Not glued to my phone in that moment. But thank you for your message, exclamation point. This inbox is rarely checked, which is not true. I'm on there every day, but for an impatient person, it's rarely checked. Please contact me directly via phone, email, or website contact page. Here's my phone, here's my email, here's a link to my contact page that in Messenger, you can tap that, it'll take you to my contact page on my website. Apologies for any inconvenience. Again, impatient people, I'm talking to you. Caron. Then you can see below that, and I didn't get another screenshot, but it said, hello, and yes, here's the link to, so essentially moments, maybe minutes, right away, roughly. I was still awake at 9:15 p.m. After the auto response went out, reaffirmed, you know, what he'd asked about and said, aside from the contact page, I said, here's a link to, here's a link to my dog portrait page, because I actually have a website on a page on my website that is just for my dog portraits, like all pictures of dogs, videos of dogs, paintings, that kind of thing. So when you go to your Facebook Messenger or the Messenger app and you go to your settings, that's where you can create an auto response for a business page and where you can put whatever information you want in it. There is a much more sophisticated auto response functionality that just recently came out where you can anticipate people's questions and type in the answers, and the robots will talk to people for you. So they're just like, hey, Gail, I love that painting that you just posted about. How much do you charge for a, you know, what's a good size? How much do you charge for a 16 by 20 of a woman swimming across a pool? Like if I want to do like a custom commission. And let's say that Gail wasn't attached to her phone and a message comes up and it says, thank you for your message. You can have your pricing on there if you want. Like if you are inquiring about my custom commissions, I charge, you know, $1,500 for a custom 16 by 20. That is painted edges, gallery canvas, wired but not framed. You could get that specific and basically have your auto response be a price list, or you can get into the auto response conversations where it's like, hello and thank you for your message. Were you asking about a custom commission today? And the person says, yes. And then the response is, great. The prices for custom commissions are blah, 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 blah. Is there anything else I can help you with? You know, something about delivery or something about how long it takes. Thanks for asking. So basically the robots with your help can answer the frequently asked questions about your art, which all of us are pretty much sticking to like one or two, you know, media. None of us do like too many things. So you should have your frequently asked questions. Like, what do people ask? How much is your art? How much do you charge? How quickly can you turn it around? Are you acrylic or are you oil on canvas? Do you provide wiring and framing? And you know, how many photos do you need me to send you? Like, it's predictable, and you can actually give the scripts and the answers to those questions to the robots, and they can engage with people, and then they'll still report to you and be like, this person's asking questions, this person's communicating with the robots, and you can jump in a real person and start talking. But when you, as I've said, you're sleeping or you're traveling or you're just taking a nap and you just don't have your phone in your hand, it's nice to have the automated responses engaged because, and this is the last point, we'll get to Q&A, Facebook Messenger times you on how quickly you respond to a potential customer. It doesn't time you on the personal side of it. So if you're just on Facebook as a personal account and you don't have a business page, don't worry about it. But for a business page, Facebook recognizes that when someone wants a product, they want it now. And when someone has a question, they want the response now. And so as soon as someone messaged, as soon as Jordan messaged me, Facebook started timing me. Tick, tick, tick. How long does it take her to respond? So if you have an automated response, that it doesn't completely negate the timer, but it allows your average response time to stay pretty low, to stay under an hour. And if your average response time is under an hour on Facebook and Facebook Messenger, you'll get a nice little bright blue button on your page that says, you know, responds quickly, or, you know, responds within an hour. And that motivates people, that they know that you're going to turn around and give them a quote or turn around and give them the answer to their question relatively fast. You still want to follow up as the human being and be like, do you have any other questions based off of what I just sent you in this automated message? Or if the automated message was like too dry or not specific enough, then directly respond with a more specific follow-up.
I seem to have Messenger linked to my personal page, but don't see how to connect it to my business page.
Got it. So the Messenger is part of your Facebook presence in both instances, and it's just a matter of accessing that inbox. That screenshot that I showed you guys of what my business page looks like, and then the menu at the very bottom of the screen where it was like your page, your statistics, and then the thing that looks like an actual box, an inbox that you would put envelopes in, that is your Messenger inbox as far as accessing it through your business page. Your Facebook Messenger inbox is by default going to be your personal inbox.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
But like I said, there's a new update on Messenger, just came out this week apparently, where they're merging the capabilities and where you should be able to see your personal inbox and your business inbox on the app. Because as I mentioned in our training, otherwise you have to go through the Facebook Pages Manager app in order to see it. And they are separate things, because as you saw with my client Jordan, he and I weren't actually friends. So he technically wouldn't have been able to message me on Facebook as a person, as a consumer. But because my business is a public entity, a listed business, anybody can message you through that. So when you have a complete stranger who wants to ask you about your art, they might not be able to message you directly without being friends with you on Facebook, but they'll be able to direct message your page anytime. Oh, and actually, Marie, let me get through the ones that we have in the chat real quick, and then I'll be right with you. Where do you find the auto response setup place? So you download the Facebook Messenger app on your phone, and you go to the settings, and that can enable it. You can also go to your business page on Facebook, and there should be a button to enable automated responses in the settings of your business page. Jill, can you use Messenger app for Instagram? So technically, Facebook can link with your Instagram, business Facebook to business Instagram, or personal Facebook to personal Instagram. Once you enable those two, the business page on Facebook is able to see your direct messages on Instagram. You are able to see both, but Instagram does not allow you to see your messages on Facebook Messenger. So it's kind of a one-way thing. It's like Instagram and Facebook are not equal entities. Facebook owns Instagram, and Facebook is like, oh, you want to see your Instagram messages? You don't have to go over there. You don't have to go to Instagram. Stay here on Facebook and we'll show you. But when you're on LinkedIn, it only shows you your LinkedIn direct messages or DMs, and you have to go open up Messenger or Pages Manager to see direct messages through the other platform.
All you have to do to get your direct messages on Instagram is turn it on the phone. That's what I'm seeing on my phone.
As far as notifications, yes, you can turn on notifications for it. As far as your messaging on your Instagram, it has a separate inbox. When you open Instagram, in the upper right corner, it has your own little paper airplane, and you have your separate inbox for Instagram messages. And that's on our Instagram training as well, which you guys can see on YouTube. Those group messages, Kay, I feel you, man. You just gotta turn off or leave. If you go scroll to the bottom of a group message on Messenger, you can leave the message.
Do you have to pay for this business?
No.
They ask for money.
Once you open a business page on Facebook, and if you look, Jale, our previous trainings on like Facebook advertising and the Facebook basics training that I've done help to differentiate this, but essentially you don't have to pay anything to have a business page, but as soon as you open a business page, Facebook starts advertising to you to get you to advertise with the platform. So they're just like, don't you want to put $5 behind this, $10 behind this? Don't you want to get more eyeballs for this post? So that you don't ever have to give them your money. But as soon as you open a business page, Facebook starts to ask you to give them your money.
You don't give it to them. They're not going to show any. I couldn't post anything because I don't pay.
You can post, but it won't necessarily get the same engagement as if you pay. They will limit what your content exposure is based on whether or not you pay. When you post personally on your personal account, that's not affected. But when you post on your business page, it's going to get limited exposure organically without money because they want you to start playing the game. And that's why I periodically advertise. But Jolly, I would say go to the Facebook, or I should say go to the YouTube channel, our Marin Open Studios YouTube channel, and look at the video on Facebook advertising, and I've got the whole breakdown on that for you. Yes, Marie.
So if you have a business page on Facebook, you automatically have a business page on Instagram or not?
No, you would open Instagram, establish an account, and then you can switch your account to a business or a professional account on Instagram. And when you do that, it links with your Facebook. And that was actually in our training on Instagram advertising. We talked about how those two communicate.
I'll go back to that.
Yes, all of the trainings that I've done up to this point, we've done 12, 13, this is the 13th episode, are all on YouTube. So please go check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, and watch any of the ones you haven't seen. And have a wonderful evening. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, later.